In a clinical experiment, men were placed in an empty room with absolutely nothing to do. They were given no stimulus, except for a machine that delivers painful electric shocks. Rather than sit alone, 70% of those men chose to shock themselves. This choice reveals a profound psychological baseline. The modern human mind cannot tolerate silence. It possesses an insatiable hunger for constant stimulus, preferring physical pain to the discomfort of being alone with its own internal frequency. We live completely embedded inside a mental construct generated by our neocortex. This part of our biology tricks us into a relentless pursuit of reasons, convincing us that mapping every event to a logical connection is the only way to remain a reasonable person. This addiction to finding reasons to fill the silence is actually the exact mechanism that breeds our deep-seated unhappiness. By demanding a why for everything, we create a world of constant judgment and intolerance. The search for reasons inevitably builds a rigid framework of comparison. To the logical mind, everything must be measured as good or bad, right or wrong, creating a mental environment where we are always at odds with reality. You see the cost of this framework in your closest relationships. The need for a reason turns a misplaced tube of toothpaste or a stray fingernail clipping into a valid cause for irritation. We react with disproportionate anger because our mind desperately demands that all of these minor, insignificant details must perfectly fit into its logical order. These domestic irritations are the everyday symptoms of the shadow of intolerance. At its core, this shadow is the mental expression of our unconscious distrust in life, a belief that we must judge and control our environment because we don't feel safe in the silence. As long as humanity demands logical reasons as its primary way of navigating the world, we are structurally blocked from ever experiencing genuine peace. The mind's need for an answer is precisely what keeps the conflict alive. The fourth gene key is an active physical mutation currently altering human DNA. This structural shift is designed to eventually end our desperation for logical answers, changing the very architecture of how we reflect on our existence. For centuries, our obsession with reasons drove humanity toward monumental scientific achievements. Our logic allowed us to map the heavens and eventually plant a flag on the surface of the moon. This era of logical inquiry allowed us to master the material world, split the atom, and begin manipulating the very building blocks of life. We have become masters of the how. Yet, science has reached a hard ceiling. Despite our ability to measure the universe, reason alone cannot solve its fundamental mysteries. We can describe the mechanics of a wave, but logic cannot explain the consciousness behind it. Gathering more scientific knowledge is incapable of driving higher human evolution. Science relies on the same flawed tool of reasons that created our intolerance, making it a dead end for those seeking true realization. The alternative is the gift of understanding, a state where the mind and heart merge on a causal plane of being. This is a higher evolutionary frequency, where the intellect stops asking why and starts perceiving what is. In this state, life is experienced without moral filters or labels. It is the pure, unquestionable truth of existence, much like the feeling of being in love. If you are truly in love, you don't need a logical reason to justify the feeling. The truth of it is indisputable. Reaching this state involves letting go of the mind's many tricks. It means surrendering the desperate need to control daily decisions and letting go of the belief that your logic can dictate where to live or whom to love. Abandoning the search for logical answers leads to a transformative inner genius. It activates a cellular clarity that cracks us open from the inside out, allowing us to finally see the world without the distorting lens of our own expectations. This process scales up to the city of forgiveness. This is an acausal, universal force where we realize that nothing is personal. It is the end of the drama of the me versus the other. The ultimate barrier to this state is human guilt, an ancient karmic debt passed down through our DNA. We carry the weight of our ancestors' actions because our reasoning minds are still looking for someone to blame for the past. True universal forgiveness cannot be manufactured by a technique. It descends spontaneously when humanity finally becomes exhausted by the drama of its own repetitive karmic cycles and stops demanding a reason to justify its suffering. When the mind stops seeking reasons to blame others, the engine of conflict finally runs out of fuel. This cosmic self-forgiveness is a mutation that allows us to return non-love with love, eventually dissolving the ancestral deaths that have powered human war for millennia. The journey of the fourth gene key is a complete evolutionary path. We move from a shadow of intolerant reaction through a revolution of understanding, toward a final rebirth through forgiveness. You can test this today in your closest relationships. Try living for just 24 hours without demanding a reason for anything your partner, friend, or neighbor does. Stop seeking external answers. Instead, make the conscious decision to live fully within the uncertainty of the questions themselves, allowing your life to radiate the answer instead of your mind chasing it. Happiness never arrives from finding the ultimate answer. It comes only when you are finally tired of asking the questions, allowing true understanding to take its place.